Welcome back. Today I want to talk about a very interesting tool to use in meditation or just in daily life called the Sri Yantra. And it's thought of as the most powerful and most prominent yantra. So first of all, what is a yantra? It's kind of similar to a mantra being words or sounds that you concentrate upon. A yantra is more of a visual representation of the same idea. Yantras, when you concentrate upon them deeply, draw your mind into higher realizations, much as reciting a mantra or a group of words could. So why in particular is the Sri Yantra so fascinating? Because in our lifetime, the most troublesome spiritual task that we have for ourselves is to unite our body with our soul and our spirit, and the physical with the spiritual. If we can learn to see the unity of all things, then we can achieve spiritual liberation. And the Sri Yantra helps us do just that. It is, in a sense, a physical representation of the true nature of creation, of the manifestation that we live within, because it draws your eyes towards the inner space, towards the center of the visual, and you are able to then expand outwards and see how things are created from that space. The central point in the yantra is called the bindu, and that's the point from which all the other things around it, all the other shapes in that same yantra emerge. It all emerges from that central point of creation. So at that one central point, the physical is one with the divine. So ironically, it's both the start of creation and ultimately the goal of creation, because you seek to realize that spiritually, to enter that space of the realization of unity. Interestingly enough, this is also why you'll see many Indians that have the dot in the center of their forehead, the red dot, and it's called the bindi, very similar to the bindu. And this again is representative of that central point of creation from which all things emanate outwards. It's a symbol pointing to that fact. Now, surrounding that bindu are a series of triangles. Some face up and some face down. The triangles facing upwards are considered the male principle, or Shiva, and then the ones facing downwards are considered the female principle in the world, or Shakti. And from the interplay of those two forces, everything is created. The divine, female and male, create the universe. And that's also why in Hinduism there's so many gods, there's such a pantheon of gods that are both male and female. It's to represent different forces of creation, different principles which create this world. If you move outside of the space of the triangles, there's going to be 3 circles. And those 3 circles in the yantra are supposed to represent endless time. A circle, as you trace its outline, has no beginning and no end, and such it is with time. It's simply continuous in an eternal now. And then outside of those circles are the lotus petals. And the lotus petals are meant to symbolize the unfolding of the self and the merging of that self with the totality of the universe. And then on the very outside of the yantra are the boundaries, and they're called the gateways, because these are the spaces which allow for our inner self and the outer world to merge, to enter back and forth between one another. So really the Sri Yantra is a powerful tool that allows us to realize our essential unity with the whole of creation. That's why it's so essential to meditate upon it, contemplate it, and it might be useful for you to help realize that truth. If you contemplate the yantra for long enough and stare at it, it takes you into that space, strangely enough, where you feel extremely centered, at one with the universe, very peaceful, and you realize your essential nature. It takes us into the space of realizing that all things are sacred, and all things emanate from that profound center of creation. Nothing in this world is devoid of meaning or connection to that primordial source. It is all one, and the Sri Yantra helps us to tune back into that truth and realize again who we are. Our essential nature is spirit, is source. It is the center of the yantra, the bindu, which emanates outward and creates all things. And the more we can realize that, the more peaceful and the more connected we can feel as we move through the world. I hope you found this useful. The Sri Yantra can be an incredibly powerful tool during your times of meditation, or even just as you go throughout the day and contemplate it. And if you like this video, just make sure to subscribe and like, and I hope to see you in the next one.